Welcome to the 30-Minute Hour. It's the personal development podcast for entrepreneurs who are looking to level up and become unstoppable. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. Joining me as always, you know him as the super CEO, the business strategist extraordinaire, and all-around good guy, Ted Fells.
Happy Monday, happy Martin Luther King Jr. birthday.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So for those of you who are listening to this on one of the podcasting platforms, at the time of this recording, it is the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. And we can't go any further with this show without talking about Martin Luther King and just the impact and some thoughts on him and his legacy, Ted. So I think this would be the perfect time for us to do that. I mean, I'll start. I mean, we all know about his famous speech, the I Have a Dream. And one of the things that just stands out about him is just that ability to see beyond your current circumstances. Right. You know, because we all get into challenging situations. We all, even in business, right? You face struggles. Things may not be going like you think they should, but to have the vision, to be able to articulate that vision where you can see beyond your current circumstance and see to a better place and see to that desired place and then bring others with you. And just the skill of his communication and just the sacrifices that he made. It looks it looks cushy now when everybody's quoting him and it's getting celebrated, but it wasn't a cushy and comfortable situation for him. So those things are just some things that stand out for me when I think of Dr. King. And I'm just grateful for the sacrifices that he made. So Ted, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, just not taking things for granted that we have today. I mean, things that, that are just common. They weren't so long ago, and those that were those trailblazers like Dr. Martin Luther King, the sacrifices they made so that we could have businesses, have a podcast, have, just doing some of the things that we're doing today. It just, those things just may not have been possible without those sacrifices. So this is a day to stop and reflect on that and just be grateful for for all that he and others did for us.
Oh, for sure. Yep. I think it's the time to pause and reflect and to really be grateful. Because Ted, you and I, we wouldn't be in the situations that we're in if it weren't for the sacrifices of the Dr. Kings and others who really fought for equal rights for everybody. So definitely we appreciate his legacy and everything that he's done. And we're mindful of the fact that this is not your everyday podcast.
It's not, Bob. It's not.
Bob, we do things a little different here.
We do it different, Bob.
I don't think we prepared him for this.
Yeah. So learn today.
That's right. This is a little different. But the thing is that he is the encouragement engineer. So I'm sure he'll be able to adapt. Because the theme of our show today is how to engineer your most successful year. And when you think about your New Year's planning, you probably thought about setting your goals and having your vision board and eating your black eyed peas and collard greens on January 1st. You thought about those things, but you may not have thought about the mindset shift that's required, right? And how important it is that you've got the right focus and you're thinking positively, because that can make a huge difference. So we're going to talk about how to engineer your most successful year. We'll hear from the encouragement engineer here in a second, but also keep in mind that you can listen to us on the different podcasting platforms, right? Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those places. You can watch us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. All you have to do is just go to those applications and type in the 30-Minute Hour, and there you will find us. So let's go ahead and present our guest of the hour. He is the encouragement engineer. I told him backstage that you have the distinction of being the one and only encouragement engineer, the first one we've ever had on this show. So, so
All right.
there you go. So he's a professional award-winning speaker. He's an author. Like I already said, he's the encouragement engineer. He serves corporate, collegiate, does sales and youth organizations and individuals with encouraging keynotes or workshop presentations. That's what he provides. He's a top-selling author of 8 books. And he's been a guest on internationally recognized media outlets regarding his encouraging positive perspective and action-oriented strategies. And he's got his own podcast, the Encouragement Engineering Podcast, to reach out to those listeners to combat the negativity that inundates our daily lives. So please join me in welcoming to the 30-minute hour, Bob Brumm.
There we go. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Ted. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to our time today. I'm looking forward to encouraging the audience, giving some great positive feedback, and just let's enjoy this time.
Yes, for sure. For sure. Welcome to the show. Definitely an honor to have you on. I did want to provide our audience with the backstory. Like what were some of your early life experiences that resulted in you becoming this encouragement engineer?
Well, it's not all peaches and roses. Let's put it that way. When I started this journey, I was probably in my late teens, early 20s, realized some things. But I started out like when I was 6 years old, I lost my mother to cancer. And then that same year, I lost my grandmother on my mother's side. I lost my grandfather on Christmas Day. And it continued throughout the years. I was the youngest of my siblings and so forth. So my parents were older. My dad was a World War II veteran. They lived through the Depression. So there was a generation difference between my father and I that most people don't experience. And so my relatives were older. And what I started to realize as I got older was that, I'm here for a purpose. I'm not quite sure what that purpose was, but I realized that I went through some hardships that most people my age didn't go through. And that allowed me to grow, to be able to adapt, to be able to realize, if you will, the positive in things. I went through challenges myself. What did I want to do when I went to college? Was it the right thing? I ended up, changing majors because I realized, I wanted to be a constructional engineering major, and I realized physics wasn't in my forte. It just killed me. I was like, no, wait, this isn't for me. I switched to business. I found that the idea behind, working with an accounting firm, understanding the money, the dollars and cents, that came easier. And then once I did a couple tax seasons with that, I realized I got a little too much energy to sit behind a desk all the time. And I switched and got into a technical field. And so that's where the engineering piece of this, gets into what I do, because I like to put things together, things that maybe people don't think go together, but you help to make them fit. I've done accounting, I've done engineering, I've done IT work. How do all that fit? Because IT people don't understand accounting and accountants don't understand IT. Now you blend the two and you have a valuable package. Now, how can you help people with that? And that's what I try to do, is help people to see the differences with scenarios that come up, because life will hand us all kinds of events and they're not always going to be easy. So how do we go through those events and still keep a positive focus on moving forward and showing the best abilities we have?
Yeah, Ted, I want to get your thoughts with all of your experience in IT, and that's your foundational background, and you're around IT people all the time. Your thoughts as far as just kind of that, how IT and accounting, some of those technical fields, the kind of taking what Bob said.
That's a tough question. I thought you were going to give me a warm-up question. Let me think. So I guess from what you're saying is the people that are into accounting and not understanding IT and vice versa. Yeah, conceptually, right? But, I tell people now, things have changed so much over the last 20 years. Like in the 90s, someone could say, IT's not my thing, right? Like I don't do IT. Like today, everyone does IT.
Yeah.
right? Everyone does IT. So if you're in accounting, you're using some type of software to do it,
Yep.
right? So the accounting side, it's probably a little easier to kind of do the IT. Now the IT side, not so much. That accounting stuff, we still kind of don't really, understand how stuff that's supposed to add up really sometimes doesn't, but I guess it's right still, right? So yeah, but I definitely think there's not a field that doesn't have IT touching it now and then, within your homes. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, it used to be a time that people would come in, Eric, and they'd install the router. Now they just mail it to you. Right. And send it to you.
Do that. Yeah. They tell
Right.
you, come pick it up.
Oh, you come pick it up. Right.
Yeah.
You come pick it up, plug it in.
Yeah.
And if you can't get it going, then our tech will talk you through it. So yeah, it's an interesting time now. But that IT just touches everything.
Absolutely. I do think for me, the takeaway in this part of you just have to be adaptable.
Oh, definitely.
In today's business, and you can't just get into this thing of, well, that's IT's not my accounting. So I think you just have to be adaptable. And I think it's good that the two of you have this extensive IT background to speak to. So Bob, I'm just curious if you could go back and talk to your younger self, was going through all those challenges, knowing what you now know. Like, what advice would you give to that younger self?
The biggest thing I think would be stop chasing the girls. No, that would be one of them.
Not my younger self, your younger self. I was just
hey, focus, boy, focus. Yeah, that would be the biggest thing, is knowing that if you focus on positive things, it will these things will happen. Positive things will occur. You can't go through life and focus on the woulda, coulda, shouldas, or that this bad thing is constantly happening to me. It is part of life. Life hands you things that aren't easy, and they come to you when you don't expect them, when you don't, if you will, need them. But we can get through them. We're given a strength by our great creator, by God, that says we can do anything with faith in God. And I think that's important because knowing that helps us solidify who we are, knowing that we can get through anything. We're going to learn things. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be handed to us, but we can get through these things, and we have that strength within us. I think that's the biggest thing to help people to realize, is that we have great strength within us, and understanding that, focusing on that, living that, keeping that in the forefront of your mind is a great thing we need to keep in the forefront of everything we do.
Wow. It's interesting, right? It almost sounds like a cliche. Yeah. Be more positive.
Yeah,
we've all heard that at some point, and it's easy to dismiss. But I will say, the successful people that I've been around, they have that one trait in common. It's like they are just optimistic, and they just even Ted. Ted is that glass is half full type of person.
Well, and you even mentioned Martin Luther King. I mean, think of what he went through and all of the things he had to overcome. But he kept his faith was so strong that he knew he could accomplish great things.
Absolutely.
And, it is what it is. Most great successful people in life realize they can create these great things, and they're going to continue to work at it, continue to go after it. And, hopefully it doesn't end in a cost like it has for some, but, we know that these great things can occur and great things can happen.
And you touched on something that I think people need to understand. I think over time, you do get what you expect.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're a negative Nelly and you expect the worst, there's a great chance that that's what you're going to end up with.
Yeah.
So hopefully people are watching. This is definitely an episode.
Don't be a negative Nelly. Whatever you do, don't do that.
That's one of the takeaways from this show. Don't be a negative Nelly.
Noted.
There you go. So Bob, in your role as the encouragement engineer, like who do you work with, and how specifically do you help them?
Yeah, I mean, I work with individuals as well as groups. I like to do corporate audiences because there's so much of that I see in corporate America of, the scenarios of we want change, but it's always been done that way. You might go into audiences and say, we've been through this type of training before. And it's almost like a hostile audience, if you will, because you have the naysayers, if you will. That doesn't help any group. But how are we going forward? How are we achieving more? We have to go through those hard times. We have to go through working those 2 a.m. down system. We got to repair this type scenarios. And that's where you really build strong relationships, is when you go through those hardships and helping people to realize the value in that, the value of, how about we focus on the accomplishment? What are we going to get out of this? That's the focus, not, oh, this won't work or this is broke. We know that, but how can we shift so that we can now take steps to correct this? How are we taking those steps so that we can change our mindset, so we're not tired and doldrum and being negative, but we're positive, we're focused, we're looking for answers, we're looking for alternatives. What are we doing? And even individuals, the same thing. Things break, we lose jobs, we may not be in the career we want, we may be in a lost direction. What are we looking at? Are we looking at those points? Or are we looking at what other opportunities do we have? How do we focus and shift our mindset so that we can take the positive action necessary to move forward in what we want? That's, I think, a key piece is shifting that mindset, shifting that positive, and being, like you mentioned before, adaptable. We've got to be adaptable. And that's sometimes hard for people, but that's reality of life.
Yeah.
So Bob, this is something I run into. Yeah, I'm sure you may see it in the groups that you talk to as well. There's always that person or groups of people, whenever you bring up an idea or a change, they've got the reasons why it won't work.
Yep.
Help me out, Bob. How do you deal with those types of people?
First, you get out the 2x4 and you slam it on the table and say, hey, now, we've been down this road before. We
That's right.
Okay, so why are we recreating something that doesn't work? It's like, you want a square, tire on your car, it doesn't work. What can we do? And what you can do is have that person give you some ideas of what can be changed, because they want to be heard. And you're going to get that person that's, like you say, I've been here 40 years. Things haven't changed. We've always done this. It's always been done that way. Okay, we know, and that doesn't work. So what are some suggestions you may have that could do this? And you try to integrate some of those solutions. You try to integrate some of their ideas and help them come up with ways they can integrate that into the scenario for a work environment. I think that's critical for people to be a part of it. They want to be heard. They don't want, okay, the CEO is saying, okay, here's this push down effect, and the CEO doesn't even know who you are, what you do, or how you work. That doesn't work for people. They want to be understood, and having that, integral part in helping them to be part of that solution is critical, I think.
So I'm hearing you correctly. We should ask them for their ideas.
Yeah. Why not? The more ideas we have, you never know which one's going to work. Sometimes it's the oddest one out, right? Look at Richard Branson.
Sometimes if you can just get, like you said, just get them to participate, it helps. Right. That's why I think whiteboard sessions are good, right? Because people are throwing something up there, and then if Negative Nelly, he throws an idea up there and you're like, oh, that's a good idea. That's a good. Then you've changed, he's ready to get some more. He's ready to throw
watch
some
your
more
face when you do that.
That's right. I'm like, hey, wait a second. I got another one.
Right.
Yeah, that Nelly's on a roll.
Yeah.
You've been holding out, Negative Nelly.
That's
right. You've been holding out. Why don't you come up here to the board? And next thing you know, he's the project lead.
Yeah. And I'll do presentations like that where, people always assume, well, those speakers are going to be up front. So what do? They come into the session, and where's the first place they sit? The back of the room.
The back.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So start in the back of the room and watch their eyes just freak out. They're like, what? Wait a second. It's like, why not try something different here?
Try something, shake it up.
Yeah.
Shake it up.
Well, good. I think you just helped some people who had the Negative Nelly that's a good tip to kind of keep the flow positive. Now, Bob, there's many authors and speakers who talk about being positive and positivity. What is it that makes you different?
Well, I've lived it. mostly. I'm reality based. I mean, I know things will go wrong. I've experienced that life event that kicks you in the gut, knocks you down, and kicks you again. Um, and the fact is, we've got to keep going. What I realized when my mother passed away, I remember like it was yesterday, because I was 6 years old, and here I am getting ready for the funeral. And I'm getting in, getting in my suit and so forth. My dad got us suits, and that was a weird event as it was when you're going to 6 years old to get a suit for a funeral. You're kind of like, huh? But what I realized was the next morning we're getting ready for the funeral, and the sun was still coming up.
Mm.
The world still continues. It sucks that these things occur, but if you have another day, you have a job to do. You have an opportunity. What are you going to do with that opportunity? It's not always easy. It's not easy picking yourself up from those scenarios. It's not easy getting out of bed when you have those scenarios go on. But, positivity isn't Pollyanna. It does work. There's studies. There's plenty of medical studies from all kinds of great facilities, great organizations that prove that this is, this works. It doesn't happen overnight. Don't get me wrong. It's not putting on rose-colored glasses and everything's fixed. No, it's a belief system that you put in place that you have to act on, and you have to live with, and you have to keep doing it day in and day out and day in and day out. And people will call you names. People will kick you in the stomach. People will kick you in the shins. Life will kick you in the shins. Your gas tank will run out of gas, but you can keep going. And that's, I think, what's critical with what difference with what I do is that life experience and the realization that, it does work.
You said a couple of things. So you said something. I think this is tweetable. If you have another day, you have a job to do.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're here for a reason.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And you have to, and you have to focus on that. And then you also said about the need to continually work at being positive.
Yeah.
And I find this to be the case as well. You can't just assume that, I've got a positive outlook, so I don't have to do anything to cultivate that. So I'm just curious, what are some things that you do to cultivate positivity?
I pray, I read. I know my power is not in me, but comes from our Creator.
Mm-hmm.
And I stay focused on that because, there's going to be things that I just don't know. I'm human. I'm not, I don't have all the answers by any means, but I can help people through it. I can help people to see maybe that little light at the end of the tunnel isn't a train coming, that it's actually opportunity. That's what we need to look at. What are those things we can do that help us? And I get reminded of this all the time because I drop the ball. I mean, there's times where I missed the boat with my kids on something, and eventually they call back or ask again. And it's like, okay, go do that. My wife reminds me there's an opportunity. She reminded me of a line in the movie on Noah where he's building the ark with the guy from The Office. And, Morgan Freeman says, God doesn't give you patience if somebody asks for patience, but he gives you opportunities for that patience. And I think that's critical to remember is God gives us opportunities, and we got to take those opportunities. And sometimes that's hard to see. And, I'm just like every other human being. Sometimes, I can't see it. So you keep at it.
I totally agree. And something I find just in working with people, that people tend to have a bias towards negativity. It's like most people are trying to avoid a negative consequence than really reach for something that's positive. Like we even see it like if I run, let's say I do a headline for a show and I make it kind of negative, those tend to get more responses.
Yeah.
If it's about avoiding a negative why do you think that we have this bend towards negativity?
It's easy. Okay. I mean, look at our media. What do? They take an hour show. They spend 55 minutes on negativity, bashing people, scare the audience, criticize everybody. And what's the last 5 minutes? Oh, that's that good humor story. The human interest story, the puppies and the love and the things like that, because it sells. We need to shift that. We need to turn that around. We need to quit the fear mongering, and all this bashing of people. Nobody's going to be perfect. Nobody's ever going to, there's going to be people that don't agree with this podcast. I'm sorry, but my beliefs are my beliefs. If you want to, share yours, we have all kinds of opportunities. We're never going to please everybody. But I think showing more positive things is a better help than bashing each other, showing fear mongering for people and scaring people out of their minds so they don't do anything. That's why people go to negativity. It's, if you think about it, if you get delayed on a plane, what's the first thing the people you're talking to in the terminal talk about? Yeah.
Oh, the plane. Oh my goodness.
Exactly. The delay,
I gotta, man, I missed my connection. Blah 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 blah.
Exactly.
Gonna be late for my wedding.
Right. You got a connection for negativity. I'm not going to go where that could go, but we'll leave that alone. But you have a commonality in that negativity. It's easy for people to go there. Flip it around. You know what? Great. Okay, we're delayed. Oh man, you know what? I'd rather be on the ground and them fixing that mechanical problem than being up in the air figuring out what it is from there.
Right.
It's all in your perspective.
It's all in perspective. You're right.
Yeah.
Now, very true.
And especially in a time when you may not even have any rush to get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, sometimes you just got to be somewhere at a certain time or whatever. But sometimes it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And I tell people, as long as I got my laptop and, my phone, I mean, you got more than enough stuff to do to pass the time. Before you know it, those 3 hours or whatever have passed. Go get something to eat. Just don't
watch people.
There's always some interesting people watching there too, right? Yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah.
So like my perspective on that type of thing changed forever because like I have a friend who was delayed by all of these little random circuits. He was trying to get to his office and he was just delayed. Everything kept going wrong. But then it turned out that had he been on time, he would have been in one of those buildings for 9/11.
Wow.
When the plane hit the tower.
Yeah.
So that's taught me everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And so you may not see what the reason is, but if you have that positive mindset, you're thinking about, okay, I know there's a positive reason for this.
Yeah.
That I just can't see it right now. I think when you look at entrepreneurs, you've been trained a lot of your life to focus on problems, challenges, opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think does that contribute to some of the negativity?
I think it does because you look for it. I mean, people will say, well, you want to be prepared for the worst and, hope for the best. Okay, that's great. In preparing for the worst, you're looking at every possible scenario you can think of. And then you ask somebody else, and guess what? They're piling more on. And then what does that do? That stresses you out because, oh, wait, my pile just went from this high to this high, and because they brought up these scenarios. But you do have to be prepared for that. But realizing together you can all accomplish that. That's I think a critical piece there is together we're more beneficial than if it was just ourselves. What do they say with that? One horse can pull 2 tons, 2 horses can pull 7 tons. So there's a big difference when you have people there to help you to overcome obstacles. And that's critical, whether it's, overcoming the death of a loved one, overcoming work issues, overcoming, issues with your spouse, that camaraderie and talking with people and community, I think is a big help.
For sure. And, we have people that are watching us now and they're saying, man, Bob, this sounds great, but I'm just still a negative Nelly. Yeah, I'm just a negative person. So what advice, what other steps can this person take to become more positive and become more encouraging?
Well, let's look at it as, okay, your daily routine. What are you doing? I mean, I wake up literally, my alarm goes off at 4:30 every morning. People say that's crazy. Well, okay, that's fine. That's your opinion. But I like the early hours. I like that time. But I say a prayer that I thank God that I woke up. Say a prayer for my kids that they're safe and sound. And I go from there. And I take some time to exercise. I do 40, 50 push-ups in the morning. I get as I'm getting my coffee, I send out my 1-minute motivations on a, daily piece. It's scheduled out. I pray. I go over a verse in the Bible. I take some time for me to focus on things that I feel are important to me. What are those important things for you? What are those things that are going to charge you up? Whether it's reading a comic book, whether it's reading faith-based material, whether it's, what is that thing that triggers you to say, wow, I can do something great. I can do this next step. if you're thinking about rebuilding an engine, what's that next piece you need? And you're reading a mechanical magazine for that, or you're reading some, book or watching YouTube videos about how to fix these things. What is that thing that you can help to trigger your mind in a positive direction? It's not just, mantras and I believe, but what are the actions you can take that help you to be more positive in whatever it is you want to do?
Bob, you got me ready just to run down the street. I'm so pumped up right now. I'm just like, I can't sit still.
Good.
Nah, I'm sure, Bob, I'm sure you have friends that just call you and be like, Bob, I need some of that encouragement. What you got for me today?
There you go. And that's sometimes I do, and that's what I can help them with that. And I look at myself sometimes as I got to be a duck. Okay, I got to let the water just shed off my back, because people are going to bring you some problems that might be pretty heavy. You'll be like, man, how do you deal with this? Part of it is you got to know your value and that you can give that value to someone else, but also know that you don't have to carry that with you. We don't have to carry around this 800 bag of regret and everybody's problems. Sometimes you just got to let it flow off. Give an answer the best of your ability to help. And sometimes that's referring them to a professional, but give them the best answer you can give that gives them some hope. Gives them, share that light, but you also got to let it go. You can't carry that with you. You can't carry everybody's baggage with you, man. You just get dragged down, and we don't need that.
Wow. Yeah. A lot of times, people that have that energy that you have draws people to you, right? Because you just want to see, like, when a person like you comes around, it's like, oh man, let me just go over and talk to Bob. Right? But Eric, when Negative Nelly comes in, it's like, let me stay clear of him.
It's like, here we go.
It could be his birthday.
Yeah.
I say, hey, happy birthday. You doing anything special? No, nothing much. That's just everything is just negative.
Hey, good morning. What's so good about it?
What's so good? Yeah, exactly.
What's so good about it?
Well, you woke up. That's a good start.
That's it.
I'm on the green side of the grass.
That's it. That's it.
So Bobby, he said some things as far as how he starts his day: prayer, exercise, motivation. What I didn't hear Bob say was, first thing I do is check email. I didn't hear that. Yeah. First I check email.
Yeah.
Then I go to my social media and see what's going on there. No, we didn't hear that. And I think some of that is what contributes to the negativity, right? Yeah. It's happened to me before where I would get up, I would get a bad email. Now it just sends me in a whole different direction.
Yeah. Oh, I've gotten those too. There were people calling you at 3 a.m. saying, "Hey, this is down. Did you try rebooting it?"
You try to reboot it.
Right, exactly. And it's just but okay, then you got to go and just kind of get your mind straight and get back to what it is that you do. Get on your pattern. Build those neurons in your mind and continue that pattern. You've got to stay focused on that pattern. It's not being selfish. It's, like they always say on the airplane, put your oxygen mask on you first before helping others. That's what you're doing, is you're helping yourself first so that you can then help others later on.
Hey, Bob. Hey, Bob. Once again, you got to do what? What was that thing when you put your foot on the brakes? That noise you just did. What was it? That's what you got to do. I want people to make sure that they do that when they feel.
You have to make that noise. Absolutely.
That's right. Yeah, you do.
If you don't make the noise, it's not going to work. You got to do that.
It's not going to work. It's not.
And this is all part of being adaptable, isn't it, guys?
That's it.
Yeah, but it's almost like you need a positivity routine. I mean, like yours may not be the same as Bob's or as Ted's or as mine, but you need some routine something you do on a regular basis that gets you in that mindset. So I think that's critical. And so you've written 8 books. If you could only recommend one to help someone to become more encouraging and positive, which one would you recommend and why?
Do I have to limit it to one? I got to combine 2, if you will.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because the one that I wrote about my dad, the values I learned from the man who gave me my name, those are values from a person. He lived, like I said, he was a World War II vet, lived through the Depression, part of the greatest generation that ever lived. Those are values our society seems to be lacking now. And I think that's critical for those to be in our world. I mean, it values a sacrifice, knowing that there's bigger things than us in this world, and working hard and work ethic. I mean, these people worked hard and they gave up many things. You look at maybe your parents or grandparents and that part of that generation and how they lived. They gave up a lot. A lot of them, immigrated into this country and gave up everything. I mean, the other book is my latest one, A Positive Purpose, and that talks about the idea that you've got to take action towards what you want, and so it ties in with the values that my father gave me into that book. So that's why I say the two combined, because if you're not taking action on those values that you learn, what's the point? You lose it, and you've got to take that positive action towards what you want. And if you're learning great values, great things, whether it's from this podcast, other podcasts, or wherever it may be, you got to take action on those things. And I think that's a critical piece for what people want to do. Remember to take that action. Get out there and do it.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think that's great advice. Can you shout out the names of those books again and how people can access them?
Yeah, they're all on. I've got them out on Amazon. You can get them there. You can get them up from my website. But the first one is Values I Learned from the Man Who Gave Me My Name. You'll see a picture of my father from World War II when he was first entering the service. If you look on Amazon, pull up under Bob Brumm, you'll see all the books out there. The other one is A Positive Purpose, and that's my latest book, and it's got an image of a young man jumping up. And so that's just, like I said, it's a book about that stepping out to go after what you want. If you're not going to get if you have this big dream and you're still playing your video game, you're not going to get to that big dream unless you put down that controller. So here's reality. It doesn't work that way. You got to do something to get what you want.
Bob, that's a hard truth. I mean, I know that Madden 23 is a great game, but you have to put it down at some point. If you
got to put it down.
Man, it's a hard truth. All right. So I'm sure you got a story of one of your clients who was a negative Nelly, and then you started working with them and they made this miraculous turnaround. Please share one of those stories.
Or her.
Her. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, and it's funny because I've got some of both. One was a her, and she was just down on her, her mindset was just not there. And through a few sessions, she was a hairdresser and always on her feet. So you can imagine you're always hearing this and, the gossip, the heaviness, and then the realization that you're always working hard, but helping her to see the value she had really helped turn her outlook around so that she could then pour that back into the clients. So then basically clients coming to her as a session. So, that was nice for her, and she got more clients that way. Another, story I have from a guy that came to me, and he was ready to give up his business. He really didn't know which direction he was going and didn't, wasn't sure. So we sat down and we went about a month-long sessions of going through exactly writing down, what does your perfect day look like? Get out a piece of paper and write that down. I know it's crazy now to actually physically write something out. Don't text it. Don't type it. Write it out. And look at the feelings it gives you when you do that. The excitement, the energy, the vision you have in your head, and writing that down, that description, writing down how blue the water is. You see the picture behind me. Write down how blue and vivid that is. Write that into your details of what you want to be part of. And that feeling that it feels in your chest, in your heart, and write that down. And through doing this and also changing some of his habits, reading better material, started reading better books, turned off the TV. He gave up his subscription to cable TV. That first year I think he turned his business around. He made about 60 grand in that year. The next year he doubled that. The next year he doubled it again. He keeps growing his business. Last year he had one of the best years in his life. In his painting business. And it is that shift of mindset that does help you. Don't tell me this doesn't work. I've seen it working for people. This is proof that it will turn you around, because what you focus on is what you go towards. They always say that, like, when you're driving a car, don't focus on the wall, because guess where you're going, right? You're going to the wall. Focus the other way. Focus on the turn. Focus on where's the finish line. Focus on what's next. What opportunity do I have to get a hold of that next car? Where is our direction going? I think that's key in anything we're doing. And that's what I help people to do is see that light for that opportunity. I try to, just shift a little bit so we can see an opportunity, and how will that come about for them?
Excellent story. And I mean, I think this is proof that this isn't just some cliche. I mean, this person doubled their business multiple years
Right.
by being more positive.
Yeah.
And I know that can happen is because I've had a similar situation where I had somebody just start telling me what they were grateful for. Right. And they saw the similar results to what you're seeing with your client.
Yeah.
So this does work. I mean, positivity makes a tremendous difference in your ultimate results and your ultimate outcomes. So yeah, appreciate you for sharing that.
Oh, no.
And you're the host of the Encouragement Engineering podcast. So what can people expect when they tune into the Encouragement Engineering podcast?
Well, you're getting a piece of it right here. You're
That's
getting
right.
Positive encouragement. Yep. What I do is I have also a 1-minute motivation that comes out on a daily basis from that. But I also have guests on a weekly basis that tell me what their story is. What actions did they take to overcome hurdles they may have had? It's not just me saying this. Okay, these are people from all over the world talking about things that they've done, experiences they've had. They've had spouses die, children die, overcome severe health issues. How have they done that? Because I think that's important for people to see the actions that people have taken to overcome this negativity that our world constantly throws at us, and the benefits of, changing that outlook. It's so invigorating when you see these people share their stories and how, the difference. You see their demeanor, and you see them smiling and the excitement they have talking about their journey. It gives people an example, and I think that's important for people to see positive examples in this world.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's one thing to tell people to be positive, but it's another thing to see examples of people who've overcome challenges and struggles, and they still have a positive outlook. So that sounds like a podcast everybody needs to check out. I mean, when after they're done listening to the 30-minute hour, they go right.
That's right. That's right.
Go right to the Encouragement Engineer.
There you go. I appreciate it. I hope so, because that's what we want to do, is we want to give that example, because our society needs that. We want to share that positivity. We want to share those opportunities with people. We want to overcome that negativity. It's going to happen in our life, but we've got to know how to overcome that. And I think that's critical to help people to be able to do that.
And I just believe that, like, one of the biggest keys to success is getting control of your self-talk.
Yeah.
Right. If you could just get to the point where you are telling yourself positive things consistently,
yeah,
that's a game changer.
Oh, yeah. How many times, I just had it this afternoon. You're standing on a ladder trying to put a screw into something, and something goes wrong, and you start calling yourself all kinds of names, or you're calling the screw different names. Really? We're better than that. We can do this. Okay, so it didn't work the way you thought. Adjust. Let's overcome. Let's put the screw in another spot. Get the Phillips instead of this flathead out. We got ways to overcome this.
And
for sure.
And sometimes stuff is just not that serious.
Yeah.
Like you so mad about this and that, and you're like, man.
Yeah.
I missed the light. So what? You're not in a rush to get there anyway.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just, look at it. Look at it positively. And that's a
good reminder. You bring up driving. That's one I got to work on that a lot too. But I look at it too. Okay, you know what? If I get the red light, okay, there's a reason. I just need to chill. I don't listen to stuff too much on the radio. I listen to audiobooks, so it gives me more opportunity to hear the next chapter of this audiobook or what that next subject might be. So that's okay. All right, let's focus on the betterment here.
Gotta stay positive the whole time.
Yeah.
So we are coming to the final segment of this show. It's called Write This Down. This is where we each go around and we share at least one takeaway from today's episode that you need to write down so you can level up. So Bob, we'll start with you as the guest of honor. What do the people need to write down from this episode?
Well, we've been talking about it. Let's focus on positivity because we know this can help change the direction of our lives. It doesn't mean that bad things are not going to happen. It just means we have the great abilities to overcome it. And we have to believe that we have those abilities to overcome it because we do. God gave us these great talents. We can overcome this negativity that's going to enter our head all the time. But you've got to, like a shower, it doesn't last. You've got to continue to bathe. You got to continue to bathe in that positivity. I mean, Zig Ziglar told us that, right? You know, you've got to keep that going and focus on that ability. We have great abilities, so continue to go after that belief, that positivity in our life, because we can do great things.
That's great. Believe that we can overcome.
Yes.
See, how I'm supposed to follow that, Eric? How am I supposed to follow that? So what I think is, I think we all have a responsibility to invest positivity in the world. Right? So I'm thinking that if you're, you're on that elevator and you see someone on there, you should be the one to speak and say, "Good morning, how are you?" Open the door for someone. I always think about what you let that person get over in front of you. Let that person get in front of you in the line at a store or whatever. I mean, you don't have anywhere to go. You just let that person go. Right. And then they'll look at you like, no. And you say, no, do it. And I had a situation one time. I think I was maybe at a Panera or something. I tried to open the door and the other person was trying to open the door. Then another person opened the door for someone else. Then they let some ladies come in. It was just like three things just happened from me initially opening the door to someone else trying to open the door for me to let these ladies come in. And then everybody's smiling and everyone got something out of that. And, and started their day off right. Was something that was just a small gesture. If we all do these small gestures, right, that don't cost us anything.
Yeah.
Right. And so if we do our part to invest that positivity, that energy, you never know. You never know. Sometimes I've had situations where you'll speak to someone and, I was sharing this with Eric. I met someone and I think I was at an IHOP or something. And the young lady was sitting beside me and I just spoke to her and said, hello, we got to talk. And next thing you know, I found out she had just moved here from the Ukraine.
Wow. Yeah.
And was sharing what she was dealing with and family back at home. And I'm sitting here like, man, I'm just here to get some pancakes.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm sitting here talking to her. So we, connected on social media. And I said, hey, if there's ever anything that I can do to help you, because I'd want someone to do that if I was, in another, country in a situation like that. But it was just from just speaking to that person briefly. So you just never know if you just, speak to someone. And again, it's your responsibility to invest some positivity in the world.
Invest in positivity. Very well said.
Yeah.
So my piece for this segment has to do with, I remember I would have these conversations with clients of mine, and they say, "Hey, Eric, how you doing?" I'm like, "Excellent." "Hey, Eric, how you doing?" "Fantastic." And this one in particular, he would stop me and say, Come on, Twigs. Are you always excellent and fantastic? Every time I talk to you, you have the same answer. Come on, man. You have to have some bad days." Well, here's the thing for me. Now, I've learned just over the years that no matter what I'm going through, no matter how bad things may be for me, there is somebody who's praying to get the opportunity that I have currently.
Yeah.
There's somebody who would trade places with me in a heartbeat if they could, no matter what. So I've just over the years learned to embrace that perspective. And I think if you think that way, you can be encouraging and more positive and more motivational.
That's real. That's very true. Because as long as I've known Eric, and we've been friends for, I'd say probably over 20 years, I've never seen him upset except when we're watching the Washington football. At that point, I'm like, "You all right, Eric?" I'm mad. I'm mad. But that's the only
nothing
time
you can control, is it?
That's the only thing they could get under his skin.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to talk to Bob about this whole Washington Commanders thing. I need some help. I need some professional help on that.
That's right.
But no, I think this is an episode everybody needs to listen to, especially entrepreneurs. When we talked about it earlier, it's easy to focus on the problems and the challenges, but you have to focus on what's going right, because in the end of the day, you're going to get what you expect. So it helps to expect positivity.
Yeah, definitely.
So Bob, how can people best connect with you?
Well, they can connect through me with my website, bobbrummspeaks.com. I'm on social media, so I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, Bob Brumm. You can look me up. That's BRUMM, and just connect through me that way. I'm on Instagram as well. So check out my encouragement engineering podcast. That's out there as well on all the platforms. I have my 1 minute motivations that come out on a daily basis on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So look for those, take a gander at those. It's only a minute long, so it's brief, short, gets right to the point, and start your day off right with a 1 minute motivation.
Bob just seems like he's everyone's friend. Like some people, they just say I just feel like I've known Bob for you. Like Bob's my boy. Like Bob's just such a good guy.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So definitely make sure you follow Bob, you listen to his podcast, you get his books, because we're at that time of year, you're making these plans, but positivity and your outlook are going to determine whether you get there or not.
Yeah. Amen.
So this has been an encouraging show. We've heard from the encouragement engineer. Don't keep him a secret. Don't forget to share the show.
Share the show. Eric, we got how many downloads now?
And we've got 620,000 downloads and counting.
Nice.
What a blessing.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember we only had one.
Got to start somewhere, right?
You got to start. You can't get to 600,000 if you don't get one.
Yeah, right. Your mom always loves you. That's what that tells you.
That's right. That's what I always joke about, Bob. I said, early on, you had to keep calling your family and your friends. Like, the podcast is coming on today. You check out Ted. We got something else to do, man. Like, I'm not going to sit here and watch the podcast every week. Now we don't, we got out of those 600,000, there's a lot of folks in there that we don't know. So we appreciate everyone that's downloaded it.
Yeah, I always say we were on the friends and family plan when we first started, because only our friends and family would listen. So. But happy to report we've gotten past that.
That's right.
So stay encouraged. We've got a lot of podcasters who listen to us as well. You can grow your show. But you have to stay encouraged, have the right perspective, and that's the key. But we are thankful for all of our listeners and for everybody who shares the show.
We see Lamont English out there, and Shemaiah Hutchins. Those are some of our friends. So thank you for supporting us and joining us this evening.
Absolutely. Shout out to Shemaiah and Lamont. Thank you for commenting.
That's
all right. So again, don't forget, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and all those places. If you're just logging on right now, this is another one of those episodes you want to rewind, because Bob gave some serious nuggets and some serious things to think about to help you to become more positive. That way you can engineer your most successful year. Make sure you go back and rewind and take notes. That's our time for this week on the 30-Minute Hour podcast. And until next time, have a great one.
Thanks.